since 1994, went and did some study, Coach. You had one winning season really since you took over the helm since 1994, and you guys have had two winning seasons in the last 3 years. I just want to ask, what was there a game or a moment that, something kind of turned the corner for you just in developing your team and culture that you've been able to see some success really at a level that Indiana hadn't had for a while?
Yeah, it's been a process. As you mentioned, I got here in 2016 as defensive coordinator, and my first year as head coach was 2017. And we had two, tough years, back-to-back years. We came down to the final game. We were 5-6 going into the bucket game and had to win that game to get to a bowl game and have a chance to have a winning season, and fell short both of those times. And so the 2019 off season leading up to that, I thought that was kind of the turning point for us, and our leadership really took off in regards to the players taking ownership of the team and understanding what that meant. And that leadership by example wasn't good enough for a guy in that role. It needed to be action. It needed to be words. It needed to be calling my teammates out and holding them accountable when things weren't done the right way, not just the coaches. And so saw that happen leading into 2019. And I would say there was a couple games that year that really stuck out. I think the first one was that Maryland stuck out to me, being able to win a road game in a situation where the defense had to rise up, get a key stop at the end to secure the win, and then got a big road win at Nebraska. I just think those kind of wins really allow you to gain confidence. And games we had lost in the past and not found ways to win those, and then finish off with a double overtime win against our rival Purdue to finish out the regular season. So that to me was the beginning of it. And then you had a 2020 season that was historic year. Things that hadn't happened in over 50 years, So it's just been a process of building this program. And yeah, last year wasn't what any of us expected or what we want here now and what we have as our current standard. And so you learn from that, you make adjustments, and you press on.
Absolutely. Coach, take me through that 2020 season for just a second. Describe to me, you guys had some crazy wins there that were pretty historic for the program. What was it like being in the middle of that? Did you realize kind of what was going on in the middle, or was it afterwards you looked back and it was just, wow, I can't believe that happened? And what was that like for your team?
Yeah, probably a little more afterwards because, think about what we were going through. The pandemic was crazy for everybody, and all the different procedures and protocols and unique things that created for us, and how our day was so, different than it had been in the past. And so, but then you start playing the games, and then we got that first one right out of the gate against the Penn State here at home and win it in the way we won in the last seconds, and, drive even the 75, people talk about that 2-point play, but the 75-yard drive, in about a minute and a half, to score and then go for two just to get it to overtime was unbelievable, and so just so proud of our guys. But I just think the biggest thing was we got a chance to live out what we've been talking about for the last couple of years. And it's one thing to say it, but when you experience it, it gives you an unbelievable amount of confidence, and it just sears that belief in you. And all the things we had saying that we thought we could do, we started doing. And teams we thought we could beat, we started beating. And it was just an amazing season for us for sure. But I think it let our guys know this is what we can become. And I get it. The season was a unique year and the different things going on for everybody. But I will say our guys took advantage of it, and we stayed really close together. I think the culture of our program really elevated itself, and its strength kind of showed out and helped us be able to rise above the issues that were going on in our country at the time.
Coach, you kind of mentioned it there, culture. That seems like the buzzword right now. Everybody talks about it, but how many teams actually have it? Coach, what is culture? What is Indiana football culture? Teams talk about that and that being their strength, and you mentioned it right there. How would you describe your team's culture?
Well, first of all, the way I even just define the word itself is what do you feel pressure to do when you join a team, when you join an organization as a coach or a player, and for us it's football, what do you feel pressure to do when you're a part of that team now? And what are the established standards that the players are able to uphold and infuse within their teammates and then the coaching staff? And so you try to recruit guys, both coaches and players, that fit that culture, can help enhance it and make it better. And so for me, we use the phrase love each other. That's kind of how it's branded. But the true culture is accountability, toughness, and love. Those are our three pillars. And I believe you want to build a great organization in anything, sports, business, church, family, whatever, it's about having a great foundation of accountability, toughness and love. Because, man, you got to hold people accountable. You got to hold yourself accountable. You got to hold your players as coaches and each other as players, side by side. And then the toughness piece. I mean, you got to have an edge about you. You got to be physically, mentally tough to be great in this life, be great in this great game of football. And then to me, love's what holds it together. That's the secret sauce. That's the thing. When those players, when they know you love them way more as a person than as a football player, I think things change in this profession and this great game of football. Why? Because it's so easy to just be, hey, I get treated a certain way when I perform at a certain level. But when I don't, I get treated different. Shouldn't be that way. They got to know they have value outside of this game. And that's easy to say, and it's hard to live out. And it takes building relationships over time, day after day, and proving them that statement is really true.
That's good, Coach. Thank you. Talk to me a little bit about that. I love accountability, college football, but also, Coach, talk to me about the creation of how you kind of came up with those three pillars for you.
Yeah, well, I'd say first of all, just talking about our program, I just over time, I'm a big believer in teaching in threes. I think it's a manageable unit, but it's multiple, but it's not too complex to dilute your emphasis. And so you have three pillars that hold up. It's like a tripod that holds everything together. And I looked at my life and the things I studied and what I believe in, and I'm a person of faith, and I use God's word, and I find those principles there, and even LEO, it's taken from Scripture, John 15:12, about that we're commanded to love each other the way that the good Lord first loved us and cared about us, and so to me, I just think when you deal with people that you have to. We're all better when we're held accountable. We're all better when we understand that, hey, my decisions affect not just me; they affect everybody around me. As a coach, as a player, as everyone that's part of this program. That's where the accountability piece is so huge. And then the toughness to me is just like, how can you play this great game of football if you're not tough? You got to be physically tough. That's obvious. But you got to be mentally tough. And that to me is the ability to make quality decisions over and over again. So I kind of found what are the key things that you got to emphasize, because you only can emphasize so many things. That's why I like threes, because it's simple, but yet it's able to be broad enough to be effective. And then the love piece. I mean, to me, when you think about, I listen to a lot of coaches talk. I read a lot of books. I'm a big reader. And I studied even back to Vince Lombardi. I mean, he talked about, man, his best teams, and they had love for one another. And I think about the teams I was a part of that were great. And as a coach, I've coached for 30 years now. And the best teams I've been a part of, man, they had a connection with each other. They cared about each other. They loved each other. They really, truly, it was not about themselves. And so, and you mentioned that it's kind of shifting a little bit. And there's a lot of things, even the rules that we're creating with the portal and NIL, it can be a little bit more about the individual. But don't ever forget this. This is a team sport. And the best team, that's who wins on game day. I understand the individuals make up that team, and the talent you have is critical. And we're a lot smarter coaches when we got better players. But in this game of football, the best team is going to win on game day. So our goal is to build the best team. And I think that's the way you do it, is by having those things we believe in. You can package it different ways. But at the end of the day, you better have a football team that loves one another, cares about one another, and is going to live their lives and make decisions with others in their perspective as they make those choices. Because if I make it all about me, I think it leads to a shallow life that doesn't have near the meaning that it does when you have somebody you're doing it with.
Absolutely. Coach, talk to me. 2019, 2020, you guys had, phenomenal seasons. Take a step back this past year, Coach. What's it look like for your team as a way to, what's it look like this offseason, the way you guys have worked out and prepared for this upcoming season and the way they respond? What's been, your coach's message, in response to this 2021 season?
Yeah, we're not one of those teams that we're looking to make excuses. We tried to own the things that happen and figure out why they happen and make changes, and so I believe if you want to get a different outcome of something that you want in your life, you got to change what you do every day. So we looked at the things we're doing every single day, made some changes, and did some things to really build a more connected team to help us maximize that. And I will say that we had an unprecedented amount of injuries, and those injuries are real, and they're not excuses. They're just, it's hard. We don't have the depth to maybe sometimes handle some of those. And it just seemed like every time we turned around, another key guy was going down. And even some key guys that are back this year, like Tywan Mullen and Devon Matthews, those guys missed almost the whole year last year. And those guys are critical pieces to our whole defense. And so you could go on and on. But at the same time, what I love is the fact we got a core guys that, man, they recognize this is not how we're going to finish. And they were part of 2019. They were part of 2020. They were part of 2021. Left a terrible taste in their mouth. And they came to me as soon as the season was over and said, Coach, this isn't going to happen again. And so, yeah, I get it. There's a lot of people deciding what we can do and cannot do this year. That doesn't matter to me. We got earmuffs and blinders on. This team's got an edge about it. This team is very, very focused. This team's been working their tails off since January. And all that matters is, what do we do each week during the season? Doesn't matter what happened last year. Doesn't matter what's going to happen next year. It's what do we do each and every week of this season. And we'll take it one at a time. I love our football team, but we got a lot to prove. And I want our team to stay that way, hungry, just absolute chip on your shoulder, something to prove every time we take the field.
Well, Coach, you can see it just in the way you're getting me fired up, ready to get on the field and go play, Coach. I really appreciate even you taking the time. You know, we could talk for hours, I'm sure, about NIL, about conference realignment, the transfer portal. But, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time to really talk about the core of football. It's culture. It's having a bunch of guys that believe in each other. And, Coach, I'm rooting you on. I've got my Indiana red on right here. Rooting you guys on, Coach. I really appreciate it. And best of luck to you this season. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on.
Well, you're very welcome. Have an awesome day. Leo.
Coach.